actually play on this map. Nonetheless, we are actually going to be seeing Kadalis on the Widow, and if he can use the grapple really well, he can have really good mobility around this map and sort of run rings around Lucky Future, who are kind of, as predicted, going for this GOATS-esque composition, a little bit outdated at this point. And if LGD can just get those key picks and then jump on down, then it's going to be very easy to get that initial control of the point.
Yeah, Kaneki playing an angle over there, looking to try and find a striker as they come through, but as the point unlocks, it is going to be Lucky Future trying to take possession of the point. But LGD Gaming playing the angles, able to pile in a lot of damage and really punish Lucky Future as they come in and try and take the point. So they have got initial control and are now playing very, very far back. They know that they have to tempt LG Gaming off the high ground and try and take the fight there. Dive has come in with the projected barrier going over onto Vettel to try and allow them to focus down Kadalis. Kadalis has gotten out. However, the push is on to try and get rid of LGD Gaming. They have forced them back momentarily, and this is actually looking really good from a positioning perspective for Lucky Future.
It was a fairly well-timed dive there from Vettel, and that just kind of comes back to the experience that this player has had. He is formerly on O2 Blast and Talon Esports, but things looking like they're starting to turn around, maybe for LGD Gaming here.
Yeah, a couple of quick kills there. Wanley going down with the EMP. If you can carry this fight without using any more ultimates, that's going to be really good for LGD Gaming, especially to come back in with that EMP ready to go. We have lost Melon. Out comes the Nano Boost onto Haoyo-chan as well, with the rally as well. A little bit of space hiding behind that pillar for a little while. Haoyo-chan still up, still swinging, trying to do what they can to keep this going. They may have just done enough here. We've got 2 more tanks left on the point, but Haoyo-chan on the chase wants to get rid of the Zenyatta since getting the better of that exchange. However, Vettel with the Primal Rage dives, does manage to find Kadalis, has finally taken them out. So whilst LGD Gaming have flipped the point over, Lucky Future look to be in a very good position here to come and undo all of that hard work.
Yeah, there were a few trades in that fight where it was kind of looking backwards and forwards, but the key thing was they forced Melo's bubble out, which meant he was going to the grave, but that gave LGD some kind of confidence that they perhaps sort of misunderstood, because then Vettel just dived in, got Kaneki when he was completely open, and of course that put them in a position where they could take the point back for themselves. And now Kaneki's come back on the Doomfist, so he'll be able to stun out those backline supports, which will be really key for him.
Well, here's the EMP we were waiting for. It gets 5, and crucially, it gets Waffle, who isn't able to use the sound barrier to try and protect his team. Self-destruct out also from 3, not able to find anything with that. Waffle in the meantime coming back in is going to find Haoyo-chan. So that's a 5v5. LGD Gaming no longer in control of the point. Lucky Future ticking that up, getting very close to capping this. We are seeing the D-Mech come through. Melon there with a bit of focus. Help coming in from Secret, getting that mech down also. Melon coming back onto the point, wants to contest, wants to draw focus, is on their own. And with the Discord Orb, can't afford to sit there for too long. Kadalis, in the meantime, managing to find Vettel. Might be the opening they require, but we're now into overtime. Kaneki with the Meteor Strike takes 3 out, and that's going to be where the dominoes start to fall over. Kaneki getting a quick 1-2 punch in a very literal sense, building up that kill streak. They have managed to flip this over. Lucky Future only need to win 1 more fight, though.
Vettel going down was the massive opener there. Getting rid of that really key main tank, especially in the kind of composition they're running, is of course going to make the team so much weaker, and they kind of don't have that primary target on whom to invest things like the bubble and these resources where you protect, so it sort of left everybody else quite open. Using the defense matrix as they come back in, they've actually come back with a Moira as well for that extra sustenance, but look at all the ults that are on the side of LGD to protect themselves with.
I mean, that was a great attempt at getting the displacement there onto Kadalis, but Kadalis then grappled back on and able to come back in and take Melo out of the equation. LGD Gaming, again, just buying space for Kadalis and Kaneki to get in and start piling in that damage, and is working out for them. Kaneki with a triple. Really impressive play on the Doomfist.
Things looking a little bit better for LGD here. They still do have that nano, which I suspect will be invested onto Kaneki. He's getting closer and closer to the Meteor Strike, but I think more importantly, he, especially playing the Doomfist, has the power and the confidence and the ability to cause so much chaos and so much damage, particularly in the backline on this hero. And with the nano boost, it'll just give him even more of an ability to do that. He has the Meteor Strike ready, and here we go, he's nanoed.
Yeah, and that's going to be... Well, he's actually getting very heavily displaced. Kind of has to get out of dodge there and avoid getting taken down. Out comes the Meteor Strike, waiting for that projected barrier to come down, looking for a target. Might be looking for a healer. Hasn't found a healer. Has done a lot of damage to take out the Zarya there. Not quite able to get the follow-up, however. Since able to get out of the way. Waffle and Vettel getting 2. Free still has the self-destruct ready to go. Is going to take Secret OT out of it as well. Self-destruct in over the top. They know that there is going to be no shield available. And they managed to get the kill onto Melon.
Nice.
And to clear the minefield, flip it and take that point. This is looking already pretty good for Lucky Future.
That was actually a massive turn of good luck at the end there, and you always kind of want to say that when there's somebody outside the EMP, it's because it was planned that way, but actually it was just because Free was in the back trying to harass Secret that he just happened to be able to come straight back into where LGD were and put in the self-destruct, which they weren't perhaps expecting. It looks like there's actually a DC here right now, so there's going to be just a quick pause. But yeah. I do think that it's maybe not what we expected so far. We did say how Kaneki and this DPS line in LGD is so brutal, so scary, but it's really obvious right now that LGD seem to be most concerned about the tanks on the side of Lucky Future because they're consistently going for Mellow and Vettel, and so they know who it is that they have to be scared of, but nonetheless, when it doesn't work out that way for them, those tanks are still getting value. So as we move on, of course, to Sanctuary, which is our next map, it'll be interesting to see Kadalis and Wonley and Kaneki, who's looking like he's going to be on that Sombra, are going to be able to get a little bit more value on a map that isn't quite as enclosed.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. If Lucky Future do manage to squeak their way through into playoffs using this triple tank, triple support, or 3-2-1 as they're currently running with Evil over on the Sombra, this is going to be the last time they can do that. So when they get through to playoffs, it might have been worth investing a bit more time in a little more practice, perhaps. But Lucky Future going to go rotate up through the upper of the two drums. Vettel getting a little bit of damage out onto Melon, not getting a huge amount, not quite getting the ult charge they might like on the back of that. Still staging here for Lucky Future, looking for maybe a couple of cooldowns to come back before they initiate the dive coming in onto somebody from LGD Gaming.
It's actually... It's very important to note the difference in the ult charge between the Sombras here. Kaneki already doing so much, whereas Evilite's mostly just been relying on passive charge.
Yeah, certainly a big chunk of ult charge got there at the end. And Wonley with a barrage already going to get the DMEC. Doesn't also find anybody else with that. But honestly, a barrage that you survive and get a key kill with, it's pretty great. So LGD Gaming will take initial control of the point. And now we've got to worry for Lucky Future because Kadalis is going to have all those tasty sightlines to play with.
Yeah, and Lucky Future was so distracted by the other members of LGD that they were concentrating on that allowed Wonley to jump down from above onto the point and be able to fire in rockets in that kind of enclosed space. And now they're at complete mercy of the damage that he'll be dealing in as they make this next rotation in. They will probably be investing the Coalescence, and they're very close to the EMP as well, our Lucky Future. And that's kind of what they have in situations like this. You typically use the Coalescence to try and bring down the Pharah when you're not playing a long-range hit scan, but there's the EMP.
Yeah, Pharah down does also get the Nano Boost to help them survive through any oncoming damage on the back of the EMP. Kaneki with an EMP of their own. Wonley getting mellow, though, so far. Nothing really coming out of the LGD Gaming, clearing up on the back of the EMP. Still nothing there for Lucky Future, and another barrage for Wonley. This is 47%. We did see a little bit of a tick over there, but 6% is really nothing to write home about.
No, absolutely not. And the thing is, Wonley, he used that barrage at the end of the fight there, which for a lot of teams you would sort of recommend against, but he knows he can build it up fast enough that it doesn't really matter, so they don't have to worry quite so much about the importance of the ultimate economy when they know that they will always be making a profit every single fight.
Yeah, I mean, look, already at a third of that ultimate. You're not really worried about it when it's on cooldown. Kadalis, though, unchecked, in the back, able to find 2 and just blunt that attack straight off. Lucky Future, back to spawn. Let's try that again, please, guys.
They're really not achieving all that much right now. I think in the next fight, they're going to have to be investing these ultimates that they do have because it's getting closer to the one-fight territory. They're going to be going up against not only the minefield that'll keep them off the point, but as well these support ultimates.
Oh.
The Primal Rage is going to have to be invested early.
Yeah, but they're already in a 5v6,
Oh, he's out.
4v6 with the minefield. Vettel down, Evil down. LGD Gaming looking strong here. Wanli able to just get in and beam those targets with the rockets. The rally coming out from Mellow isn't going to be enough to keep them up, unfortunately. There's just too much damage, too much point presence. EMP is a bit of a Hail Mary coming out from Evil. Going to be taken out by their opposite number. Kaneki getting the better of them there. And we go to 1-1 on Busan. Looking a lot better for LGD Gaming that round.
Yeah, really, they were in a situation this round where they had that member in Wanli who was kind of hanging around the point and was able to shoot down anybody who came near him, but they also had people like Kaneki and Kadalis on the Sombra and the Widowmaker respectively who were able to hold other members of Lucky Future back and pressure those sight lines and of course the backline in the case of the Sombra before they even reached the point. So they really had control and all eyes on everywhere. And now moving into downtown, this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, where you have these kind of rooftops where the Widowmaker can perch herself, and not really all that many heroes can get up there without investing their resources. You do have the dive tanks on the side of Lucky Future, and of course EvilX, who will have his translocator, although that will make him very obvious to the Widowmaker, but already asleep on the board.
Yeah, turns out throwing a high-tech gadget at someone tends to let you know where they are, but Vettel clearly on the hunt, looking for somebody, dives right into the back, left his team alone. EvilX gets the opener, though, getting the better of Kaneki this time around. That's going to be a nice opener for Lucky Future to get in. I think they're maybe just waiting for the point to unlock. Certainly looks like they're waiting for something here. It's quite passive.
Yeah, there's no point in putting themselves out in a sightline, especially as Kadalis is over in the side by the station.
Yeah,
especially when the thing hasn't unlocked.
Yeah, Melon down already. Lucky Future in control of the point. Capture percentage starting to tick up. LGD Gaming getting, about halfway to a couple of these ultimates. Certainly outclassing a few of the members on Lucky Future in terms of that ult charge.
Yeah, they're really getting there, and you can see by Lucky Future's positioning that even though they have control over the point, they're scared of LGD, particularly of
I'm scared
those
of LGD.
DPS heroes. I mean, I would be as well, but they are really trying to utilize this, catwalk above them, this sort of mezzanine area to protect themselves. But there are so many sightlines that are just being held here by LGD that they're able to build up their ults very quickly.
Yeah, well, since already with the Coalescence online isn't able to find anybody with it, but maybe there's enough damage there into Kaneki to allow Vettel to take them out. And Lucky Future pushing up. They know when they've got the advantage, although now rubber-banding back to point, not wanting to press that too far. LG Gaming, they're about to get Ultimates online. This might be where we see this flip over.
I think you're absolutely right. Potentially going to see the Nano being invested into Wanli's Pharah. Maybe wait for the EMP altogether, but EvilX is getting prepared to use his own, potentially going to throw the translocator up by the Pharah, going into the air, bringing her down.
Yeah, 3 for 3 on EMPs. Wanli managing to find Waffle is the only thing that comes out of either of those so far. The Nano Boost on Wanli has had their abilities locked out for now, but Kaneki is able to find Vettel, and sadly, the hack ran out before that self-destruct could be completely taken offline. Doesn't matter though, it doesn't find anything, and LGD Gaming on the back of quite a lot of ultimates invested have flipped the point over, or are very close to flipping the point over. Wanli is going to be coming out with most of the barrage though.
Yeah, and that's going to be really key because they did make this risk to play the long game, and now they're in a situation where Lucky Future, they only have 8% left to 100%, so all they have to do is win one more fight to take control, and LGD have the whole marathon to run. So the fact that they're able to build up these ultimates in that one fight puts them in a really good position to actually hold on to the control of this point.
Yeah, Wanli looking for an angle, has the barrage, knows what it can do to completely stim this team fight. The hack is in, and the EMP in over the top. Wanli is going to find, wow, it gets the DMAC, gets the kill onto Evil. Secret and Mellow with the follow-up as well. Vettel gets a parting blow, taking Kaneki out of the fight. But this is a lost team fight. Waffle very low. They have managed to flip this over very briefly. So they've got to 99-22. LGD back in the driver's seat, though.
Going to see them back out. Lucky Future obviously don't have to rush, but they do know if they leave it for too long, LGD will be able to just recycle the economy, and that's the issue that they have to face now, because again, these support ultimates are back. The minefield's going to make life very, very hard, especially for this mostly ground-based composition that Lucky Future are running. They'll have the Coalescence to support themselves, but Coalescence only lasts for so long, and now we have a Nano Pharah.
Yeah, Nano Farah means Farah can afford to get a little bit more close and personal, land a few more of those rockets, build that barrage up, and it is climbing, and we are at 55% capture, so a barrage here is really going to take them much closer to one-fight territory. Gets Sits, gets Mellow, gets Waffle, a beautiful barrage out from Wanli is going to keep them in control of the point, follow up onto the Winston at the end, and they have to flip the point back over again. They're getting a little bit sloppy here.
Yeah, a little bit. The fact they lost it while they had such an advantage there is pretty terrible. EvilX, of course, has another EMP, and I think Lucky Future's EMPs haven't been too terrible. In general, they've got an okay number of people, but then Kaneki, he has to contest with. And really, at this point, it is just the war of the ults, because they're just in every single fight. And I don't like to put everything down to ults, because there are so many subtle and interesting things that can happen. But in this situation, it's just about who can get the better ones out first. EvilX, once again, waiting to launch us into the sky. Kaneki is down, so there's their opening.
Yeah, Kaneki down, and the EMP out from Kaneki actually didn't do a huge amount. EvilX still up with their own EMP, and of course we've got a bomb to come in over the top. That could be a huge combo. Now the EMP, it finds two, it finds one lead. Melon goes down as well with a bit of follow up there. That's going to be the chase with Farah down as well to Sense. Asleep there onto Vettel, but it's going to be 99. Lucky Future in control of the point, in control of the kill feed, and if they can just get that Doomfist out the way, that may well be them taking this first map and the first step towards getting that 4-0. But a big minefield now out from Melon. They're not going to survive long enough to really take advantage of it. Lucky Future 1-0 in the series. We said they needed the 4-0 to make playoffs. This is where it starts.
Certainly not what we were expecting to see. You're right, this is the beginning. Kenobi, what do you think?
I think this is looking actually really good from Lucky Future, and something that you guys mentioned on cast that I thought was really interesting is you said that Lucky Future was scared of LGD, right? Really scared. I'm scared of LGD. You're scared of LGD. We're all scared of LGD in this triple DPS composition they have. But I actually think the way that Lucky Future played around and played kind of scared around this composition actually worked out really well on mecha base. They were using the geometry a lot to their advantage, using the stairways and not letting Kadalis just pop off by himself, not giving him any sight lines, free sight lines, and then they were able to hit those really controlled dives that Geo was talking about during the cast. And for round two didn't go as well because they really just let Wanli off the leash and they couldn't really deal with him and deal with the DPS composition coming out from them. But then on downtown, I think what really cost LGD was, you guys mentioned it as well, they kept losing those fights. We're going to see some replays here. They kept losing those fights when they were winning, and they kept having the point being flipped. Like that percentage that they're losing at that point, where it's like 10%, an extra 10 or 20%, that's the difference that it took between winning those rounds. So for Lucky Future, this GOATS composition really showing that it's their biggest strength, and Phil mentioned it as well. They're going to have to really decide if they do make it to playoffs, what are they going to do? Because you can't play this GOATS composition.
Yeah, that's certainly the concerning thing, is like, it's great to see them actually getting some value out of it and being able to beat LGD out in this first map. And as you say, kind of taking advantage of them, exploiting certain areas of the map that they can use to their advantage. But when it's on a composition that will be illegal from, the next, it's a sports term. No, the composition that, won't be available to them if they make it into playoffs, then where does that put them? Because so far we haven't really seen any evidence that they can play a 2-2-2 composition that will work out for them. I don't know, maybe they're hiding something, but I suspect they're not, because I would have thought that they would have used it by now to at least try and get into playoffs, since things haven't been going very well for them thus far. So it does make me concerned about the versatility of this team.
Yeah, one of the issues with their DPS lineup is you have EvilX, who is known as like a legacy Sombra player, and you have Mellow, who has played only Zarya this season, really can bring out the Widowmaker. We haven't seen it too much since last season, but I agree with you, Geo. It's going to be a bit difficult to see what this team, if they do make it to playoffs, still a very high mountain to climb. You need to win 3 more of those maps, and those ones were close.
Yeah, well, Kenobi, thank you very much for that insight. We're going to take a quick break between maps, but don't go too far, because we're going to be coming back with round 2 very shortly. Welcome back, everybody. Here we go into round 2. We're going to be going over into Anubis now in that previous round. Lucky Future surprising us a little bit with that performance. Can they keep this going and get the 4-0 that they need to move forward and into playoffs? That's the question, Gio.
Yeah, I mean, of course, potentially at this point, anything is possible. And, what they were really doing, especially on that last map there, is kind of letting LGD put all their resources into certain people on their team, and they may be like winning the fight, but they weren't taking the point and things like that. And then LF were able to sort of come back and exploit things like that. So, of course, moving on into Temple of Anubis, will they be able to recreate that? Well, Temple of Anubis doesn't quite have the same map geometry that's going to allow them to sort of shelter themselves and not be open to receiving that level of fire from LGD again. So that was a big part of some of their success in that map. So don't know if they'll be able to recreate that. I think the question is more going to be what sort of compositions these teams are going to run. Because if we see LGD run, for example, a defensive Widow Pharah, well, then Lucky Future could continue on with this dive composition that they've been running with the Winston and the Diva. And if they coordinate well enough, they can bring down the Widowmaker. They could run the Sombra once again with Evil X on that hero, translocate, hack the Pharah, which they were doing quite a bit to Wanli in the last map. So it's, you know, potential, but we of course have been seeing a lot of bunker defense on Temple of Anubis so far this season in a number of regions, not just in China. So the question is, do we think that there will be something like that instead, that will have a completely different sort of strategy required to bring it down? Because typically for bunker compositions, we either see sort of the Genji, Sombra, Ana, or a Pharah go against them. So looking now,
this is a thing I don't think I've seen in a long time, this high horse defense.
It's, you know what, whenever I see a Junkrat on Anubis defense, I always kind of have to laugh, because that's just like, that's so old school. This is such a old school Junkrat map. But, you know, his frag grenades, it is. The frag grenades, they can work, makes him hard to dive, especially when he's receiving that damage roots from the Mercy, as we see is happening.
Yeah, Lucky Future playing very tentatively at the minute. Oh, they have, however, found the Sombra, not quite able to get the kill onto Evil X, onto Wanli as they get out, but still a lot of ult charge gained for Wanli. But Lucky Future still kind of playing poke at the choke with a comp that isn't really set up to do it. This rotation is very slow.
Yeah, we actually saw that because Vettel, he didn't have his jump pack on cooldown. He went in backwards so that he was unable to be headshotted, because he was trying to protect himself, which is just kind of goes to show the sort of experience that he's had. It's not something we see. It's very subtle, but not something we see from a lot of people in various regions. It's kind of nice to see that tech being used.
Yeah, well, out comes the nano visor. Sorry, the info site even. Secret is managing to find Mellow on that attack coming in on the Genji. So this is already a very difficult situation for Lucky Future. And Kadalis, again, being given all the space in the world, will find Waffle, and Evil falls into a little bit of trouble themselves. Big chase now coming out from Vettel, but Kadalis able to get in and find the headshot whilst being died, which is just a testament to how strong Kadalis is on this hero.
Yeah, really the kind of defense that LGD set up there was they allowed Lucky Future to have their rotation onto the point, but then LGD moved their defense forward, so they kind of had this pincer mechanic with the Junkrat in the back, the defense at the front. Lucky Future couldn't move forward nor backwards, and they were sort of stuck in the middle and didn't necessarily have a direct target onto which to focus their attentions. But now Wanli's got the EMP ready.
Yeah, EMP. Secret able to find Vettel, though, so the EMP maybe not having done the most work as they lose their main tank and their main support, and they still have Kadalis in the backline who did not get EMP'd, able to just rein in that damage and completely control the fight. Kaneki might be caught out a little bit on the side here, is able to get out of the way, and will have the Riptide ready for the next fight.
Have the Riptide ready, and of course Lucky Future going to be watching out for the time that they do reach this Dragon Blade. Going to be aiming for the EMP Nano Blade, which we've seen so many times from so many teams. And there's not being a Batiste run by LGD, so it means they don't have to worry about the Immortality field. That's not the extra 250 HP that they have to deal with bringing down before they can actually bring anyone else down. But of course, with Kadalis on their tail...
Kadalis!
Well, it's just proof, isn't it? It could be very scary for them to come in. Vettel going straight down.
Like, you can't be making these mistakes. You can't be stood out. You cannot give space for a Mercy to get in on the Valk and raise the Sombra to bring them back into the fight. Lucky Future, what are you doing here? You are giving way too much space over to LGD Gaming. This is just I want to see a little bit more action from them. They're just waiting and permanently waiting. 33 seconds left to go on the clock. Kenobi hasn't had to use the tire. Melon hasn't had to use the supercharger. What are Lucky Future playing at?
The fact that you say they haven't had to use them means they can use them all just now. Lucky Future will have all of their own ultimates. In comes the tire, though, Phil.
Yeah, looking for one at the back. Gets out the sound barrier, which honestly, that's great value. If you can do that. Oh, and the combo coming in with the Hulk getting Waffle out of the problem. However, Mellow is going to be coming in with the Nano Boosted Dragon Blade. Finds Kadalis, finds Secret, is going to, on the back of the Nano Boosted Dragon Blade, completely carry this team fight. Mellow putting on his 5-person backpack and carrying that fight forward.
I think the question is potentially they were waiting for some of those abilities to come out from LGD, but you know, the fact that it took them this long to really do it, that's sort of the questionable thing. And I know that it takes a little while for a Genji to build up that ult against a bunker composition, but it is still somewhat questionable. Now they have 3.5 minutes to take this next point. They can't afford to be quite as slow. They've switched back to the Zarya, so going for the Ana Goats look here.
Whoa, we've got a Reinhardt. I don't think I've seen a Reinhardt all weekend.
I know. Gonna look for that Nano Ryan, which just feels like a relic of the past at this point. But it'll make them really easy to be EMP'd.
Well, speaking of which, there's a big EMP for you. LGD Gaming find all 6 with that EMP. Kadalis now over onto the Hanzo, able to just pile in damage indiscriminately. Defense Matrix now back up for free, but Kadalis on the hunt, wants to get the DMEC, wants to get the stagger. I think that's the DMEC just out. Wasn't able to secure the stagger, but, you know, that's still a lot of time you've got to go and wait for. Ooh, would he get it? No, looking almost like they were going to get that kill at the end. But, you know, Free has nowhere to throw themselves off the edge. We've got to wait for this mech to come back.
Still some time here for Lucky Future, but the thing is, knowing that the Riptire is there, it's going to make it so much harder for them to kind of invest in an engagement, because they know that they kind of have the potential to lose someone, especially while they don't have the sound barrier ready to provide the overshields to at least somewhat help. And so that just lingering there is really teasing them.
Well, Nano Boost came out there, and a Riptide out from Kenobi is going to find Waffle. Vettel wants to find some supports in the back line. Hasn't quite found the kills. Kadalis and Kenobi. The K's with the kills going to open this team fight wide open and send Lucky Future right back to spawn. So Kadalis used a dragon in that fight and is already halfway to having another dragon already.
It's sort of terrifying, the fact that Lucky Future are going through these fights and still not building up all that much ultimate charge. They've actually switched over onto the Moira here, who should be able to build the Coalescence fast. Well, I guess she would build the Coalescence fast if she were allowed to live, but that's not going to happen. And the idea there is, of course, to sustain, you know, the members of your team through all of the incoming damage. But again, Kadalis is just such a threat on the Hanzo. The Dragon Strike just coming online now, and LGD, of course, lit up with all of those ults other than the Riptire, and this just seems to be a pattern.
Yeah, I mean, Lucky Future, they're getting close to a couple of ultimates, but they've got just over a minute. That Dragon Strike to open things up, delay them even further, stop them getting in close and getting any more ult charge, and in fact, doing a lot of damage since running out of resource here. No one around to really generate that back with either. They're going to get the rally online in a second, and we've got Vettel, EMP'd, not able to use that Primal Rage to get that health back in, and we've also seen Free managing to get Kenobi hacked again, so still not able to use any abilities, can't use, whoa, the Graviton Surge out from Mellow. Is that going to be enough to flip things over? That looks like a lost fight, but they may have just done enough to start to turn this over. They have got the first tick captured. Now the self-destruct out from Free, able to find Melon. Kenobi coming back in on the Doomfist, not going to stay alive for long enough. Kadalis gets a parting blow, and it's since going down, but they weren't able to get the recontest in. So Lucky Future have managed to cap this.
Well, the reason that they were actually able to do that is because the Graviton Surge kind of happened at a time that... The Grav happened at a time where the EMP has had time to recover, so they all had their cooldowns, and they were in this big brawl, and so the grab happened, and they were all just right there to be able to deal in the damage that was required to actually bring down the members of LGD. So, you know, I wasn't really expecting it to have that much value, because I thought that once that EMP had been used, that was pretty much going to be cleanup of the fight, particularly because of the minefield that had been laid out, sort of trapping them all in that side room. room. So that was a surprise. That really was a surprise to me. I didn't think that Mello would be able to get such a value out of that. I thought he would kind of always be brought down before the Graviton Surge was really gonna have the chance to be used. So that was a nice surprise to see, and it of course puts more pressure now on LGD because it means that they have to complete the map, of course, because if they don't, then the map will be going to Lucky Future. And maybe they do have a lucky future because things are sort of going a bit more in their way now.
Do you know what? This match so far is starting to feel a little bit to me like one of those choose your own adventure books where I'm thumbing through and going, I think that is the best possible course of action. And I flip to that page and it's like, no, something else completely happened. So I'm going back to the start and going, no, like what inspired that change? Like, I have no idea how to predict what is happening in this match because every time I think it's, oh, brother, it ain't over.
All right, LGD Gaming. This time, they're not going to have the Ana on their side, just going to be relying on Hoya-chan with the Mercy. So, of course, that damage boost is going to go straight into Wanli, bring down the shield very, very quickly. And EvilX here on the Widowmaker actually relying on his Brigitte's shield rather than being down in the front by the Orisa.
Yeah, EvilX does get displaced there. Kaneki down. EvilX able to get the better of that particular matchup. Wanli still looking for angles. A lot of shielding, a lot of natural cover means that actually might be a bit of a struggle to get the value out of this Pharah, unless you can get a few lucky shots on. EvilX does get a body blow there from Kadalis. Kadalis, again, going to struggle a little bit with the angles here. Far better to be a defensive Widowmaker in this situation. Got to rely on Kadalis getting the better read on EvilX. Maybe LGD Gaming just going to wait and try and get a few ults and do it on the back of that. Initiation coming in from Melon, falling very low. Has to get out of trouble. Bought a little bit of space, but maybe not enough to get anything done. EvilX again, body shot by Kadalis, and that's going to be a nice opener. Sins is down. Waffle there to bring Sins back. Wanli, however, has found Mello. Kadalis finds EvilX, finds Vessel, cracks this point wide open. Lucky Future going to be routed in just a fraction of a second.
All LGD Gaming needed there was for Melon to come in on the Wrecking Ball, because one of the issues was that because of EvilX, his placement here on the Widowmaker, it was putting some pressure on Wanli and forcing him to play a little bit more passive. The same with Kadalis, actually. And so the Wrecking Ball coming in provided that distraction, that sort of turning away of the attention of the DPS on the side of Lucky Future, and that gave LGD Gaming some space where the DPS could actually get those picks, and of course Kadalis following up monumentally, and it just means they have so much time here, over 6 minutes to take this next point, and getting very close to a number of the ultimates and using them all together, or not even all of them, but just some of them in conjunction with one another should allow them to start getting these ticks on.
Yeah, Wanli, I can feel Wanli sort of moving around looking to try and get the angle to use this barrage in, but they've got to watch out for the amount of shielding that's online. Does find Waffle. It's a good opening. Out comes the minefield as well. That's going to make that recontest so much harder. Wanli has the barrage, throws it in, gets one, but taken out by Vettel. That's going to be a quick triple coming out for Lucky Future, though. So despite a lot of ultimates thrown into the fight, LGD Gaming not able to get the victory they were looking for.
No, I mean, Waffle, after being killed brutally by Wanli, has come back out on the Batiste, so that Immortality field is going to be there. That's going to provide that extra protection.
Wanli.
Particularly... no, it was a debate. Particularly for Vettel, although the Batiste actually gone now. Waffle has come out on the Lucio. Actually, lots of changes. We've got Reinhardt on both sides now, which is kind of bizarre. LGD going more for that 3-2-1 look, which not sure we were were necessarily expecting to come out from them. I'll be interested to see how good a Zarya Kadalis is, although I have no doubts that he's probably pretty good, at least with the tracking, the aim. We'll be watching out to see how good his bubbles are to enable Melon.
Yeah, EMP Dragon, though. Melon able to get Mellow, though, so nothing coming out of the Dragon Blade. Doesn't matter. Looks like Vettel and EvilX and Vettel, again, able to do enough there to carry that just on the back, mostly of the EMP. It's a shame for Mellow didn't get the value out of that Dragon Blade they might have liked.
I mean, it's fine for LGD. They still have some time. Of course, the important thing is kind of handing over that ult charge to Lucky Future, who did also switch up their composition at the same time. So that sort of put a couple of their members ahead of LGD Gaming, namely the Reinhardt and the Zarya. And of course, they could catch up if they wanted, but you never really want to be giving the enemy team that head start.
No. No, especially when it puts a nano boost very close to being on board for Lucky Future. It makes it so hard to aggress into Mellow with a swap over onto the Brig. That's 1 Lee, and there's a big sleep coming out there onto Waffle, trapped out in no man's land. Free has to back out a little bit there, takes a bit of damage. Luckily going to be coming out of that with, 40% charge. Maybe nothing to write home about, but nothing to be sneezed at either.
Yeah, I actually see a Lucky Future be quite aggressive there, and it's really to shield their sleeping comrade. And it's very ballsy to see that, because you can be brought down so easily, but the fact they want to protect one of their members so that they can retreat, there's an EMP.
Dueling EMPs, in fact. LGD get hit with a 6-man EMP, 1 lead down already. Vettel with an nano boost, swing it away, looking to get the charge kill, dives in, wants to get as many of these kills as possible. Free on the chase, wants the ult charge, wants the kills, wants to carry this team fight, and the chase is still on. Down goes Kaneki also. When is the chase going to stop? Well, pretty much once they hit that choke. A great showing there from Lucky Future.
And this is what happens when you're running these kind of GOAT-style compositions rather than the DPS-heavy ones, is you have these very definite, decisive times where you engage and disengage. And the second that you actually start to lose even just one member, that's when you're meant to be disengaging. So it means that LGD can't just continually put on the pressure like they had been when running things like the Widowmaker and the Pharah. And Lucky Future now, they're ahead of them in the ults. They do have the Graviton Surge, which could be pretty brutal in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Graviton Surges dictate the course of these Rien Zarya fights for a long old time now, but a big hack is going to stop Free actually being able to throw that in. Out comes the Shatter from Vettel. Follow up with the strike. Melon, however, puts 2 on the ground, receives the nano boost, looks to get a charge kill, doesn't find anything. In fact, those ults found nothing for LGD Gaming. Lucky Future once more in control of the point, and now 4 minutes burnt off the clock for LGD Gaming. Lucky Future looking very strong right now.
Yeah, it's a scary situation. We also have to be cognizant of the fact that Lucky Future didn't take their point in overtime. They took it with 26 seconds left to go. So that means that if this does go into overtime, that is dangerous waters for LGD, and they're really going to be fighting to get this point within the next minute. But Lucky Future, their ult economy is so much better right now. They're consistently having more than LGD Gaming in the forthcoming fights. And LGD probably going to be waiting for this EMP from 1 Lee, but Lex has already got his, and while they're all bunched in this side room, they're a very easy target.
Yeah, and Lucky Future have a lot of stamps in the collection. Out comes the Graviton Surge from Kodalis and a hack in over the top. It's 6 of Lucky Future. Evil X able to only get 4, but they lose 1 lead straight out. So Lucky Future still in control, still up in the fight. Vettel has an Earth Shadow ready to go in. Melon about to come in on theirs. Also, Melon gets booped out in a dangerous position, managing to back out and get away. This is a big old game of footsie from the Reinhardts on either side here, looking to see who can get the Earth Shadow to turn this around. Didn't get the stun, not able to get the space to get that Shatter in. Needs to run forward. Has the projected barrier up in the air. The Shatter comes out. Vettel on the ground, but 3 on the ground for LGD Gaming. Looks like Vettel got the better of that exchange. Waffle dies with the sound barrier. And we get a pause at the peak of the fight. What is going on here?
That is brutal. And we saw LGD, they brought out the McCree at the end there. He can kind of have the mobility, get around, stun members, deal in that damage. But one thing I really like that Lucky Future did was when those 2 EMPs came out, they actually had their Sombra nowhere near the Graviton Surge. She came around the other side, used the EMP, and we actually saw Mellow, I think it was, turn around to try and deal the damage, the Zarya damage, into the Sombra, and that meant that there wasn't as much damage going into the other Graviton Surge as there was coming into theirs. And so that is why we saw the first kill that went down was a member of LGD, I believe it was Secret, who went down first. And so that did put them in that advantageous position. And of course, we're in this situation now where there's loads of ults on the board, the Shatters, we saw the swings try to bring down those Rhine shields so they can get the Shatters into one another, and we saw that very big boop at the end there, so the charge wasn't able to connect. But that is what we're currently seeing now, is this brawl, and they brought in that McCree to try and add something else to it, rather than just having the brawly, resource-heavy GOATs fights where you rely on the repair pack, when you rely on the projected barrier. They want someone to be there to kind of do their own thing, be able to provide that CC, stun someone out, and get a really key headshot where that could be the kind of clutch opening that they require to open up and finish off this fight. And so that's where we are now, but you know, it's sort of like a to be continued kind of situation because we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. There weren't any decisive kills right then and there to sort of suggest to us who it is who's going to win out this fight right now.
And can you think of a worse time for either team to have if this is a disconnect, like this is just the most horrific case of bad luck for either team, because we are right down to the wire now. I think we're very close to approaching parity in terms of time bank. So, you know, if LGD Gaming get the DC here, then we might see them not be able to cap this point. If it's Lucky Future, we're probably going to be going to another round here. So this is just the most dramatic of timings.
The thing is, I didn't see anybody in the UI disconnect, but of course, if you disconnect and you come back, you lose your ult charge.
Yeah.
So if it is a disconnect in a situation like this, it's the worst time, as you say, it's the worst time for this to happen. Of course, just getting back into the momentum of the fight alone, let alone ultimate charge or anything else, getting back into that momentum in this kind of situation is going to be something that they have to sort of work really hard to do. It's going to be something that's pretty hard for them to achieve. Right now, I mean, I just kind of have to say that even seeing these compositions is pretty interesting. It's not what I was expecting to come out from LGD. They've been leaning very heavily on sort of the power of their DPS. And of course, the sort of the confidence and the aggression of Wan Lee, pumping all those resources into him. They didn't actually have an Ana being run on their attack this time, so they didn't have that nano barrage available to them. But of course, this second point of Anubis is kind of similarly to Sanctuary, actually, very enclosed, and so you're quite easy to read when you kind of drop down to do a barrage, and with those two sort of spawn exits and that back little passage, the little room that there is, makes it very easy to kind of be brought down. So it makes sense why it was that they didn't necessarily want to run that. There aren't that great sightlines for a Widowmaker unless you make yourself very obvious on that top archway, or if you're sitting in the low ground. So it does sort of feel like a blast in the past, even though the GOATS era really wasn't that long ago. It kind of feels like, oh, yeah, this again.
Yeah, it's kind of the one last ride mentality. We're shortly about to completely lose access to GOATS as an option. Yeah. And so, you know, maybe the teams have this gentleman's agreement of, one last ride.
Yeah. It's like, let's do it. Yeah. But then, actually, if it were a gentleman's agreement of one last ride, you would not be seeing a McCree.
No.
You would not be seeing that McCree coming there. I'll actually be really interested to see if the McCree receives, you know, the projected barrier or anything, how we've kind of seen these sort of protect the McCree compositions in certain times. I mean, I think a map that was quite common on was Lijiang Tower Night Market, for example. So I'll be interested to see if those resources get invested still into the Reinhardt, as you typically see in these kinds of compositions, or if it goes into the McCree and they're actually trying to put more stock in the damage that's coming out from their DPS heroes. So that will definitely be something to look out for, because it could just be that he gets cleaved into and brought down fairly quickly, especially if things like his flashbang are on cooldown and he doesn't have them available to him.
So I didn't quite catch who that was in the UI. Was that Kadalis coming in on the McCree?
Oh, I guess no, it's Wan Lee.
Oh, okay, interesting. Well, pause down. Not quite sure what's happened there. Well, this is a big old swap up. Mello coming in on the Bastion is going to find Melon here. This is another big swap. We were just talking about how weird it was that we were seeing GOATS at the end, and instead we're going back onto this crazy sort of super bunker with the Baptiste there to keep everybody alive. Kaneki is going to find free. Big sleep onto Mello. Lots thrown at him and taken out. We are now down into overtime. LGD Gaming still have not kept the point. Vettel alone, bullied on the point. Evil Eggs taken out by Wan Lee with a big old headshot. Free coming back onto the point. Stunned. D-Mac killed, wrapped up in a pretty pink bow, taken right the way back to spawn. The Tracer flashbanged out of existence. LGD Gaming do cap, but it is going to be in overtime.
Yeah, and LGD, obviously, it was very close there, and the McCree kind of really was the thing that allowed them to do that. But Kenobi, what do you think?
That was a roller coaster of emotions at the end there. I was just like, Waffle died with beat, and then the pause happens, and I'm like, oh, what is happening? This fight is so just messy in general, but from both of these teams, it's actually really interesting to me that LGD opted into the mirror against Lucky Future, because clearly it looks like at this point, Lucky Future is definitely the better GOATS team, right? They have more practiced on it. They've been playing it all season. And LGD, we really haven't seen it. We've been seeing them play a lot of the Widowmaker and the Pharah. We've been seeing them play a lot more triple DPS, and this GOATS just didn't look as coordinated as the one from Lucky Future. Sure, they managed to cap the point in the end, but a lot of the times with their ultimate combinations, Kadalis, we've been talking about MVP of the season potentially for Chinese contenders, doesn't look the greatest on Zarya. His charge for ultimate, not that high. He was usually sub 60 energy, 50 energy, not really getting to those 80s, 90s like you usually want to see those Zarya's beast. A little bit of a I think they just don't have as much practice on this composition, and I think there's two teams here. One team is really upset that GOATS is going to leave the meta, and one team is like, oh, thank God, we don't have to play GOATS anymore. We can just, I could play Widowmaker. We're totally fine.
Yeah, well, Kenobi, thank you very much for that interjection, but we are going to be diving right back into the action. LGD Gaming on attack, and no surprises what we're seeing here. Although, actually, maybe, because we've only got the one support, Secret, now playing Hanzo.
Well, this is kind of similar to what we had before. They were just running Hoya-chan on the Mercy. This is sort of very similar, if not the exact same, to what their original attack was before. And it took them, I don't know, they managed to do it pretty quickly, but I don't know if it was under a minute last time, and this time they only have half a minute left.
Yeah, and Free gets the opening kill there onto Kaneki, so maybe not a fight you want to continue when you've got 22 seconds left. Let's come back and see if we can get this, although Kadalis can be relied on to provide the equalizer. Secret finds Waffle as well. Now Wanli right on top, balance on the edge of a knife over their heads, looking to try and get a couple of kills, not able to find the displacement out with the concussive blast. Still going to be looking around for targets, not able to find the translocating Sombra on the back of that either. Lots of chaos happening here. Finally, Vettel going down. Melon gets taken out by Evil, but we have one tick capped already. We're deep into overtime. However, Barrage coming out just to try and get rid of the stragglers. Mello going down as well, thanks to Kadalis, and it is just going to be Sins left on the point. Evil X trying to keep this going as long as possible, but that's going to be all that they manage. So LGD Gaming going to get another 30 seconds to try and take this all the way.
I think potentially it would have been a lot more likely that Lucky Future could have held that if they focused on Wanli a bit more, but it seemed more like they were just trying to protect themselves from him. But his aggression allowed him to get that barrage early. He got in all that damage behind the shields, and that's really what got them to do that. Of course, we can't put down the fact that Kadalis got that key opening pick, but nonetheless, most of the team were brought down because of that. However, Evil X does have his EMP, and with just 4 seconds to go, this is going to be a really key ultimate to look for.
Yeah, there we go. Kaneki now on the Tracer, able to get in and get that overtime wick ticking over. EMP out, finds 3, but Kaneki and Kadalis working together, able to find 2, 3 even. Kaneki still alive, 2, chased down by Melon with a high charge. Melon brought back into the fight. 3 has the rally, is throwing it onto the team, trying to keep them alive through this, trying to provide some of that damage mitigation. Gets the stun, not able to find the kill. Health pack out, doing a lot of work here, but Kadalis is being given free reign down main to rein in the pain and get picks, but so far no progress captured for LGD Gaming. Lucky Future able to cycle people out onto the point, even with Kadalis getting the kills, trying to stop people getting in for the recontest, and that is a great play from Evil X. TP's right up into Kadalis' face, takes them out of the fight completely. Is this going to be enough for Lucky Future? They might be able to stagger this out. So far, no progress captured. Melon able to find 3. Kadalis brought back in again by Hyo-chan. They do not want to let Kadalis rest. They don't let him die. Nano boost now onto Wanli, able to get Mellow. This now stagger heroes coming out for Lucky Future, trying to keep this point alive. We're going to see finally some point progress captured for LGD Gaming. That's the first tick down. So this may be where we start to see them take this all the way. Kaneki has had the pull spot already, wasn't able to find anything with it. Melon with the power driver going to take Evil X down. Also, Kaneki still in amongst all the bodies here, trying to get the chaos as high a level as possible. Wants to get that kill, but Mellow with the Graviton Surge is going to lock up most of LGD Gaming, but doesn't get any kills on the back of it. Melon still going large. Kaneki with the final kill on the end there as we reach 4 on the point. Lucky Future still trying to come in as quickly as they can, but Kadalis uncontested in the back, still able to find picks, still keeping this alive. 70% of the point captured and going, but Lucky Future do not want to let this go without a fight, if at all possible. Kadalis able to take the Immortality Field down. but Melon still there, keeping Mellow out the fight, and Beautiful able to get a little bit of presence there, but frozen and hacked and slept. It is not a good time to be a hamster in a ball. When is somebody going to make the decisive blow in this fight? Free now back with the pulse bomb, going to take Kaneki down, sleep onto Evil X, now playing the May, Kadalis, getting rid of Waffle, overtime so close to taking down. If a single player steps off the point for LGD Gaming now, that is going to be it. The overtime is ticking down so quickly. Evil X takes Secret down out of the fight. It looks like maybe we finally have enough bodies on the point for Lucky Future to round this out. The minefield, though, coming out from Melon. Mello has to cancel the right click there, or else face... Well, basically, that landing face first in the minefield. LGD Gaming still trying to keep the dream alive. OT ticks down. Lucky Future not quite able to... Sorry, LGD Gaming not quite able to complete that.
And that was a constant back and forth. So many heroes being changed. I actually have to really shout out Kaneki there, because even though he wasn't appearing much in the kill feed, as the Tracer, he was dealing in a lot of damage that others were cleaning up, which is sort of the opposite of what you tend to expect. Tracer traditionally has always been one of those heroes that she will clean up kills that other people have started. But of course, the constant backwards and forwards, that minefield at the end there, we saw Mello sort of sacrifice himself because he knew that the minefield from his own team, followed by the Ant Matrix, was going to come out. So it wasn't enough from LGD just to use theirs. And of course, when you're Lucky Future and you're on the defense, you have the spawn advantage. It's right there, right next to you. You have the opportunity to just change to a new hero and try things out if the one that you were playing before wasn't working out, like we saw with the Reaper, who was getting a decent amount of damage in, but Kaneki was right on his tail and just completely finishing off too many times. So that's when we actually started to see the May come out, which really caught Melon out, as he froze him up in his little hamster ball and things like that. And, when you're in that brawl situation, it gets very hard to keep up and stay on top, stay on the upper hand when you are the attacking team. So now this means that Lucky Future have a lot less pressure, and they also have a lot more time. They have 150% of the time that LGD did for this initial attack. But they're going to be going for the sort of monkey goats kind of look here.
Yeah, Sin's on board with the Moira, trying to just rob some of the value out of these DPS picks. Although some of the DPS now for LGD Gaming kind of bursty. You get a mine, you get a concussive mine in over the top, and Kaneki, that's not a lot of chance to heal that out. That's pretty insta. But Lucky Future with a nice wraparound have taken possession of the point. They've already got their first tick. Kaneki on the high ground has to drop down, wants to get a little bit more up close and personal, try and get the D-Mech at the very least, 40% and climbing on to that ult charge, throwing in those concussive mines. That's going to be the mech down for free, and free taken down also. So this is going to be maybe all right, guys, let's go back to spawn and try that again for Lucky Future, because they've still got time to make one more. Waffle, though, might well be staggered out here. That's not good.
You're right. That was a point where they should have kind of tried to back out rather than continue on that fight. They were sort of stuck in the side room, but they do have one more chance. And we said at the beginning, Phil, how this team, they have to get a 4-0, and this is their opportunity to do it. And if they lose this point, then that dream is going to be going out the window. But look, Wanley's got this EMP.
With the EMP finds Lucky Future's chances here really falling down, and a huge tire coming out from Kaneki. Gets to Kaneki, dies himself, but there's just nobody left alive for Lucky Future. That's the team kill. That's going to be going to 1-1 in the series. Lucky Future's chances of reaching playoffs down and out, but man, they made LGD Gaming really work for that.
They absolutely did some work for it, and of course LGD on the DPS at the end there. I mean, what else is going to happen? The ults just come in like this.
Well, to help us break that down a little bit, let's throw to our resident Wrinkled Brain. Let's bring Kenobi back in.
Wrinkled Brain, ooh, thank you. I like that moniker. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Lucky Future, their season is going to end here. They can't mathematically make it into playoffs anymore, even if they were to win this series, because Light Gaming has the advantage and has the head-to-head at this point, even if they were to 3-1 hypothetically. But I think the difference here in terms of both of these teams was a lack of pressure from Lucky Future. Phil was going absolutely ballistic on the first point. Like, you can't just be doing this against Kadalis. He's just gonna hit. He's gonna click heads. He's gonna do his things. And when it was on the shoe was on the other foot. When LGD was on defense, right? Immediately, as soon as EvilX is on that high ground, he's pressured out. Has to go down. Has to go into an area where he's vulnerable to getting hacked, vulnerable to getting dove on, and that never really happened for the side of LGD, right? Kadalis just sat up on the high ground for 4 minutes while they tried to continuously farm up towards the CMP Nanoblade, and it took them 4 minutes to, I mean, they got the ultimates early, but it took them 4 minutes to actually put it into motion because Kadalis is just there, there's someone out of position, dink, you're dead, gotta wait like an extra 30 seconds. So for the side of Lucky Future, I really want to see them pressure out Kadalis a lot more if they're gonna, now you're playing for pride at this point because you can't really make it into playoffs, but you can still win this series and, screw around a little bit with the seeding for LGD. But man, it's just like Kadalis, you cannot let him just sit in the back line like that and just basically do what he does and get those headshots. You have to pressure him some way. Even if you're making compositional switches, you need to do something.
Yeah, I mean, there have been a couple of times where they've kind of put EvilX on the Widowmaker, and they've tried to do that. And they did do it somewhat when they were on, when Lucky Future were on their own defense on point A, because it made Wonley and Kadalis play a little bit more passively. But of course, then they had their attention switched and etc. That allowed LGD to move in. But the thing is EvilX just, while his presence as a Widowmaker put a little bit of pressure on, it didn't actually do anything to Kadalis. Now, I'd like to see more decisive dives onto Kadalis, maybe using the Ana to, get some shots onto the Widowmaker as well. If they could bring out an Ana, that would be absolutely fantastic, because then you can also use a sleep dart or the anti-nade as well and just really help out your team. I mean, you could in theory bring out a Zenyatta and have the Discord orb at your disposal, but Zenyatta's not all that popular right now. So I just think that would be really nice if they just had some hero that could help have that kind of damage boost for the team, so they can all target this one hero and help to bring her down, invest, however much they require to, and then turn around and deal with everybody else.
Something I'd also actually like to see is I'd like to see maybe a little bit use of Hammond instead of Winston. We know Vettel as being this very good Winston player, but Hammond, I think, offers a little bit more mobility to try and do pressure into that backline, especially since Kadalis usually plays a little bit farther away from his team and takes these long flanks, right? You don't have to worry too much about just the fact that there's going to be like a Sombra there or a Junkrat, something that's going to blow you up immediately, because if Hammond, you can go in, put some pressure onto Kadalis, maybe in some cases one-shot him, and then you just take that pressure away immediately. But you need something to put pressure on Kadalis, and you need it quickly for Lucky.
Yeah, well, Kenobi, thank you once again for that wonderful insight. But I don't know about you guys. I could do with a break. We're going to take a couple of minutes off just while we prep for the next map, but don't go too far because we are going to be coming right back. Welcome back, everybody. Getting ready after a incredibly dramatic, incredibly hard-fought Anubis. We're going to be moving over onto our hybrid map now, going over to Numbani. So, Geo, I almost want to ask, like, what are your predictions for this? Because honestly, how can you predict this? This has been so crazy.
Here's the thing. I would want to say I predict LGD play Wonley on Heurix. This is a great Pharah map, but we just saw that there's a sub. Rookie is going to be coming in for Wonley. So there's not going to be the Wonley Pharah available. So that's kind of interesting. So it will be interesting to see what it is they end up doing. It's probably going to end up being more of a 2-2-2 composition. Potentially going to see D.Va. Don't know. I guess we'll have to find out what's going to be happening there. Lucky Future, I don't know. Like, Numbani, we have seen goats on it in the past, but it only really works if both sides are playing goats. And I think if they choose to play a goats kind of composition, then they're really dooming themselves here. So I would like to see them, I don't know, maybe they'll play a bunker if they're on defense. Maybe it would just be really nice to see them play some DPS and just see if they can. They know they're not going to make it into playoffs now. Just see if they can use this almost as a practice scrim, I guess, at this point, because they're going to want to come back next season, I would imagine. And They didn't make it into playoffs, so they're going to have to come up through trials. So they may as well try and prepare for this 2-2-2 meta. They haven't got anything to lose at this point. The stakes aren't on the board anymore.
Yeah, well, you know, Lucky Future, they're an historic team. I can't imagine that the brand is going to disappear just because they haven't made it through Contenders and fallen back down into trials. But maybe we'll see a bit of a roster swap as it's a big old off season for Contenders.
I was totally wrong because look here, we actually have LGD on Sombra Goats. We are with the Winston rather than the Reinhardt, but Rookie's actually come in to play the Zarya. This is not what I was expecting.
No, very strange. But man, look at that old charge tick up for Kadalis. Oh, wow. Hao-Yo-Chan goes down, but both sides lose their Lucio in this. Now on board with Mello, looking to try and protect people from the dive. Maybe not doing the best job of it as they lose Vettel to that dive coming in from Melon. Kadalis gets pressured out, has to take a little dive off the edge and then translocate back in. Mello holding on to a not insignificant amount of charge, up at 100 now, maybe not wanting to get into a duel with that, but Secret finds EvilX over on the Brigitte as well, and this is looking really, really good for LGD Gaming. Lucky Future, with the exception of getting that kill onto Secret, just completely blasted off the point by that offense.
Yeah, they are looking, more strong than they were when they were trying to play a kind of Goats composition on Anubis. And I think potentially part of that is because Kadalis, as we kind of mentioned, not the best Zarya, whereas Rookie has a lot more experience. But we've got this monkey versus monkey duel going on here. We know that Vettel's a very experienced monkey himself. And so he's really going to be the one to kind of be leading this, but also probably the one who's going to be targeted the most, which is something that we have seen thus far between these two teams.
Yeah, LGD Gaming coming up on what? In fact, I already have a couple of big ults. Kadalis going to be looking to use that EMP at some point soon. And other than Sins, who's just ticked over to get the nano boost, not a lot they can do to counteract that. So this could be another very easily 1-5 for LGD Gaming as the dive comes in. Melon has the ult ready to go as well. Kaneki's used the rally here. Vettel caught out, stunned, just able to get out of that, but the EMP is going to make that a little bit harder to get out of the range of some of that damage as we lose Vettel. As the DMAC comes through onto free, Melon does get slept, but honestly, at that point, you can maybe afford to have a bit of a break because so much of Lucky Future is down and out that no one's going to miss you if you're taking a nap.
Seeing some changes on the side of Lucky Future here. They're actually going to be going over to the Reinhardt and the Zenyatta. So this is pretty interesting. Melon actually himself is going to be going for the Reinhardt as well. And I suppose there isn't really much high ground on this next point. You don't necessarily require the Winston. And if you go jumping onto the backline, you're leaving everything very open. So you can have these more close range brawly fights now upon switching onto these two Reinhardts. But of course, Secret already has his Transcendence. And that's something that Since is going to struggle against.
Yeah, Graviton Surge out from both sides. Rookie and Mello both using theirs, but oh boy, that paid off for LGD Gaming, and it did not pay out for Lucky Future. Lucky Future getting team wiped in that exchange. Wow.
This is... I don't know, this has just been so easy here for LGD. Maybe, Lucky Future don't look like they've given up, but they know that there's not that much in it anymore. Both the sound barriers out now. Yeah,
Melon with the Shatter only finds EvilX. Should have maybe waited for that EMP to come out because the EMP hits 3. Secret and Melon getting in. Melon already at 50% to the next Earth Shatter, but probably not going to be around long enough to need to use it. Man, Lucky Future kind of didn't show up to that round.
No, not at all. And, I don't know, Kenobi, it went so quickly. What do you think about that?
What even is there to analyze?
This is a super hard flex from LGD Gaming right here. Bringing in Rookie, your dedicated Zarya player, and just looking so much better when they did on that. Geo mentioned it a little bit. They looked a lot better because Kadalis was the one previously on that Zarya. Not the greatest Zarya, much better as a Sombra as we saw on that map, and Rookie much better as a Zarya. And LGD as a team last season played a pretty decent Goats composition and a pretty decent 3-2-1 with Wanli in the lineup, but now they have some different variations of different pieces of it. They have Melon, who is a much more honest, I would say, main tank than Tanchio is, doesn't just dive in, plays a lot more conservative and plays a lot more of a punish style than Tanchio's just hit shift go in kind of style. And for the side of LGD, I think this is, again, I think it's just the ultimate flex right here. Okay, you guys want to play Goats? We'll play Goats with you, and we'll just run through Numbani and Cap with 4 minutes and 30 seconds, probably one of the fastest times we've ever seen in Chinese competitive.
Yeah, I think also a kind of major part of it is the fact that because only one side was running the Sombra, of course that being LGD, it really meant that Lucky Future have to invest more to sort of protect themselves from that Sombra, whereas they don't have that same threat applying from their own side. So of course they do run the D.Va, but the D.Va just isn't really doing quite as much. I don't think Free is bad or anything like that, but just in this situation where they have to protect themselves from the Sombra, that puts a lot more pressure on them. So Kenobi, we'll see what's happening as we head into this next round. Thank you for giving us your wonderful insights. But Phil, it's looking like things are fairly similar, except Secret's coming in on the Ana this time to protect his Sombra goats rather than the Zenyatta.
Yeah, Lucky Future moving on into the high ground. Then we've got Vettel playing a Reinhardt this time. They're going to opt to... No, they've opted not to try and keep control of the high ground and get a couple of picks. They've mostly migrated to the low ground. Vettel getting very low, has to have the projected barrier out there for Melo to keep him in the fight that little bit longer. LGD Gaming still have the high ground, but Lucky Future playing this quite well. Already got 2 ticks, basically for nothing. Lucky Future with the kill onto Howie Yo-chan there. Vettel with a fire strike coming up big. So actually, LGD Gaming kind of need to get in and contest here because at the minute it's 5v1. They've given up so much of the point already. Vettel once more finding a kill onto Kaneki. It kind of feels like LGD Gaming were asleep for that one because Lucky Future, pretty much the same way we just saw for LGD Gaming, gave LGD no time at all to respond.
A little bit. LGD weren't really ready. Actually, Hoyo-chan got really caught out because he was wall riding up quite high on one of the walls, and both Melo and Vettel went after him and were able to bring him down. And oftentimes you see the Lucio doing that because he wants to jump down and provide a big boop and sort of setting up his team. And the fact that he hadn't done yet suggests that LGD just weren't ready for it. They weren't in position. And so that was something that Lucky Future were really able to exploit. And now they have so many ults, but they've been hacked.
Yeah, there's the EMP and the Graviton Surge in over the top. Kadalis hacks out. Oh, but man, Key here. Free eats
Huge.
Rookie's Graviton Surge, and they absolutely wanted that for this fight. And it's going to take a long time to put the back up. The Shatter comes out. Most of it hits the shield. Rookie does get hit by it and taken out with the charge from Vettel. Melo with a follow-up finds Melon. Also, Lucky Future pressing forward. Want to get those few kills at the end of the fight to round this out. Secret goes down. Fire Strike out. Huge plays out from Lucky Future here.
I mentioned how the D.Va isn't necessarily that big a deal when you're going up against the Sombra, and the Sombra's providing all this pressure, but when your D.Va can, be able to mitigate those really key abilities that are going to potentially be used against your team, that is when you want to be thankful that you actually have one in your composition. So it's great that Free is able to do that, and this certainly isn't the first time in this series. I don't believe that he has eaten an ultimate. So now, again, big time bank for Lucky Future as they come into this next fight, but they only have the sound barrier to protect them right now.
Well, there's an EMP for you. Finds 5. We need some follow-up to make something happen on the back of that, though. Melo getting Kadalis. So that's not the exchange you wanted out of that EMP. For nothing to come out of that for LGD Gaming is a disaster here, as the high charge Zarya is going to be powering right the way through. They're going to be playing up against Spawn, and of course, they've got the Graviton Surge. They can lock people up in Spawn here. So Lucky Future going to be coming through in a very, very similar time.
Rookie wants to use his.
Yeah, Rookie's got to get in quick, though. We have got the rally coming in. There's the Graviton Surge. It locks up Kaneki. Melon just able to get onto the point. Rookie shattered and charged and killed with the Graviton Surge eaten. This is massive from Lucky Future. How is a team that is doing this well currently so low in the standings?
It's actually very strange. I mean, Rookie having his Grav eaten twice in one round of a map is kind of embarrassing. Now, we did mention yesterday, it's not the new D.Va yet, so the really obvious defense matrix isn't quite here, and that is the defense matrix that you really should be ashamed to have anything eaten by. But in this case, we saw him kind of waiting in the spawn. He definitely looked like he was ready to use that Graviton Surge to come out and potentially make a comeback, stall things out for his team, but he went straight into that defense matrix once again. Now, either Free is being insanely vigilant, or Rookie's being insanely careless. And I think the fact that they know that Rookie has come in as a specialist Zarya means that that's pretty much where all of his attention is being put right now. So he's always on the lookout for that Zarya. They're tracking the ultimates really well, and that means that they're consistently protecting themselves from what could potentially be a really dangerous ultimate that could be applied onto them, especially knowing that there's such a strong main tank on the side of LGD right now who could just swing in, get loads of cleave damage, and really ruin the team. So that's something that definitely needs to be cleaned up if LGD want to be taking the victory on this map, because it is a massive thing to be losing out on right now, and they are insisting on still playing GOATs.
Yeah, well, I'd like to see a team put up some sort of a defense on this map at least once as you move into the second time through the map. Both teams, we've got we haven't quite got the mirror. We've got the 3-3 coming out from Lucky Future. Well, Rookie already finding Sins, but Kaneki down. Also, Melon currently on the low ground. Comes in for the dive, but he's going to be largely unsupported. Melon, I think, maybe just looking for a little bit of ult charge there. They knew that the fight was lost. Has got out, but fell very low. And, of course, fed a lot of ult charge over to the enemy team. Lucky Future back in, out. LGD Gaming coming right back on in again, though.
Yeah, they're getting ready. And Lucky Future, they're just ensuring they have the high ground here. It means LGD have to invest those resources to actually get up to them. And of course, Mellow being on 100 charge here is just brutal for Rookie, who's feeling the full brunt of it.
Yeah, and of course, you get your... Oh, well, I was going to say you get your Zarya into the high ground. They lob down that damage, but of course, the counterplay, get Kadalis in the backline to hack him and take him right out of the fight. LGD Gaming now in charge of the point once more, starting to clean up. Primal Rage out from Melon. Not quite able to find that kill over on to Waffle at the end. Waffle gets out and will have the sound barrier ready for next fight.
Yeah, was able to, of course, secure them that point, but they won't have it going forward. Is there anybody on the payload? No, there's not. So, okay, here we go. All right. Melon actually looking like he's going to be going back into spawn, potentially changing, probably over to the Reinhardt, if on anything. Yeah, there we go. Yep. Now, Vettel's actually still sitting on that Primal Rage, so they're currently going to be locked into this Winston versus Reinhardt matchup, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him match it after he's used this.
Yeah, well, there goes the Primal Rage hacked, so not able to use the dash. And in fact, chain hacked with the EMP coming out in over the top as well. So not a huge amount really gained from that Primal Rage. No, Vettel does find Melon though, so Primal Rage actually paying off, and out comes the self-destruct. Buys a huge amount of space for Lucky Future. LG Gaming having to back out of the way. Vettel still on the Winston, and if he's not careful, he's going to get another one of these ults and be stuck playing Winston into the Reinhardt. But honestly, it's kind of working out for the guy right now. LGD Gaming struggling to make any real progress, although Melon and Haoyo-chan, guys, I was just about to sing your praises, and then Lucky Future come in and get 3 and equalize this team fight. Melon still on the Reinhardt, kind of being bullied in the corner there by Vettel, who has another Primal Rage ready to go. And Lucky Future doing quite good at staggering out some of these kills.
Honestly, I have to say that I'm really impressed with, and have been throughout the series, really, the kind of synergy that is happening between Mello and Vettel. They're both working very well together and really just on the same page as one another. Even when they're losing fights, they're sort of losing them together, and they're attempting to work together to ensure sort of the best for one another. I don't really know how best to put it in that sense, but they're definitely working very well together.
Yeah, Vettel being bullied by supports, but in a position to do some bullying of their own. Finds the Reinhardt, wants the kill, gets the kill, finds some supports, doesn't quite land the kill, but still, Lucky Future once more in control of the fight. 1 minute left on the clock now for LGD Gaming to get this done.
And Payload's going to start rolling on back. And LGD Gaming, they're getting close to that EMP, which is really going to be the key thing here, especially if this fight ensues on the corner, because that's where everybody's going to be. And it's going to be so much easier to catch everyone. But they don't have lows to follow it up with, potentially the Earth Shadow, but it depends on everybody being on the ground. And currently, Lucky Future occupying the high ground. That's why Hoya-chan's looking for these boops here, as you can see, just waiting for that perfect opportunity.
Has found, doesn't quite connect. It just just boost them over to the other bit. Out comes the EMP, and oh boy, that is a big old EMP. Gets 6. Kaneki and Hayo-chan now going to town on these poor, hacked, defenseless, lucky future players. Melon wants in on the action. LGD Gaming are going to complete this section of the map and move us on into Point C, and they've got cards up their sleeves to help them do it.
Yeah, they certainly do. I mean, they managed to get off that combination really well, and that's left them in this great position where they do have the support ultimate. So whatever it is Lucky Future throws at them, if Mello decides to use his Graviton Surge, which is likely, they'll have that protection for themselves. But they are in overtime now, so the fear is going to be on the potential boots and just being shoved off the point here. Here's the self-destruct, though.
Yeah, self-destruct, unfortunately, doesn't really connect with a whole amount. It did sort of a strange shuffle on top of the payload there. Lucky Future now with the overshield currently ticking down with... In fact, they double-stacked those ultimates since used the Transcendence as well. And it hasn't really worked out for them because Evo and Vettel going down since to follow also Rookie with another Graviton Surge ready to go. We may see the double complete in overtime here for LGD Gaming.
You mentioned they double stacked the support ults, but that was one of the Lucky Future's kind of strategies there, is they used the Grav, which brought out the Transcendence, and they used the Self-Destruct, which brought out the Sound Barrier, because it's the only thing that can provide any kind of protection against a Self-Destruct. So you're right, they don't have that coming into the next fight, but they do still hold on to the EMP and those tank ultimates, and a Lucky Future currently sit at nothing, very close to the Earth Shadow. There's the EMP.
Man, these EMPs have been so good, but they do lose Kaneki as part of that exchange. Free getting Melon as well. Graviton Surge out. Most of Lucky Future now locked up in the Graviton Surge. Not a huge number of kills coming out on the back of it. Rookie will have high charge, but high pressure as well. Getting very bullied there. And actually gets killed by the D-Mex Diva at the end, but that is going to be that map completed once more.
Yeah, they weren't actually able to get it to the end. They weren't touching by the end. So this means that when it comes round to Lucky Future's time to push, they don't have to worry about getting all 3 points, and it's certainly not going to go into another round. They just have to get it to the end. Their last attempt was obviously very quick, and if Free can keep up with eating up those Graviton Surges, if they can draw out things like the support ultimates from LGD, which we saw them do in that round, then this could work out very, very well for them. So certainly there is a pretty substantial chance that Lucky Future could take this round, and LGD are going to be very happy with themselves that they weren't able to cap that final point.
Yeah, I mean, it came very close, but for me personally, watching this, I'm just glad that finally we had some sort of defense on Anubis, because the previous 2 rounds were literally just like, okay, well, I'm going to lift the barrier up and you guys just drive that payload right the way through, and there we go, have a free map.
They were pretty free defenses, the first 2 on Numbani, and yeah, I definitely think that that's kind of potentially because these teams... Well, I don't know so much about Lucky Future, but they're not quite as used to these compositions at the moment. And LGD particularly, they're used to running these DPS-heavy compositions where they build their ultimates very fast, and they weren't doing that quite so fast on their defense on these kind of GOATS compositions. But nonetheless,
well,
wow, the UI is actually wrong. Lucky Future are attacking, and LGD Gaming are going to be defending. So ignore the little symbols that it has.
Yeah, LGD Gaming coming out on something completely different for this time around. They decided to go back to their DPS preferred option here. In fact, running 2-2-2, the Sombra and the Pharah here. It's going to apply a lot of pressure.
And this will actually be interesting to see how Kaneki fares up to 1 lead.
Yeah, it's already a pretty big performance to live up to. Melon chasing Lucky Future as they come round. The rubber banding back in. Want to get back onto point. Mello with the high charge. Wants to try and beam down that Zarya. Look at that focus.
Nice.
Kaneki going down. Great pick out from Mello. Can Haoyo-chan get the space to get in and get the res on and bring them back in? It looks like maybe not how... There we go. Finally got them back in. Rookie, though, getting the better of Vettel. And it's going to be Rookie with the high charge. Has them all pinned up in that room. The Diva caught out, D-Mexed, Mellow down, beamed out of existence by Rookie. LGD Gaming holding on to the point. Nothing captured so far for Lucky Future.
It's certainly very interesting to me how Mellow beaming down their Pharah, who LGD are evidently relying so heavily on, was what triggered them into using so many of their ultimates that they had available to them then, pretty much as soon as they got them online, just to push Lucky Future back. And,
Ooh.
you know, Mellow bringing down the, since going down, that's going to be a disengage for them. But Mellow beaming down the Pharah in that round is actually very reminiscent of when he beamed down Hoyo-chan in the previous round, and he's consistently at a high charge and able to track in a way that allows him to bring these heroes down, and LGD are feeling the pressure of it. They are they're investing their abilities to kind of clean up the sort of mess and the losses that they have as a result.
Yeah, Rally to line things up, but then Nana boosted Winston in just to even things out a little bit. We'll, of course, have Kadalis with the EMP ready to go. Expect that to flip this fight right around. Kadalis without the EMP finds Vettel. Free gets the equalizer with that self-destruct. Typically, may have wanted a little more with that. Now, the sound barrier to counteract the Graviton Surge. Lots being committed into that fight. And another big EMP out of Kadalis with a barrage to follow up. And the Primal Raids. That's 3-4 down for LGD Gaming. Lucky Future not looking quite so good for them this time around.
Yeah, and EvilX is in a difficult position because ideally you want the Brigitte to be the one who's looking out for the Sombra, trying to stun her out and get rid of her. But because of all these high grounds, the Sombra really has free reign in areas of the map that the Brigitte just doesn't. So she can get key hacks and be building up ult charge from an area of the map that EvilX just can't reach. And so when you don't really have anyone else who can deal with her, potentially Vettel, I suppose, but you don't really have anyone else who's a direct counter to her, really, that makes Kadalis able to build up these ults really fast, and that's why he's seemingly having an EMP for every fight, and they're able to hold Lucky Future back so well.
Yeah, Kaneki's doing such a good job of just perpetually being a nuisance. So Lucky Future just always playing these angles and managing to find a target for a rocket somewhere. Melon has to get out or get beamed down by that high charge Zarya as well, but that's going to be the DMEC over onto Free, and it's a lot of resource lost already. Kaneki with yet another barrage is going to help Rookie get the kill onto Vettel. Also, out comes the barrage, is taken down in the middle of it. Kadalis, though, is going to be able to do it enough to follow that right back in, and Kadalis gets Sins as well. Now, Melon on board is going to get the DMEC onto Free, and this is where we're going to see a big stagger onto Free. No, not going to let you throw yourself off the edge. We are going to hack you as well, just for good measure. 20 seconds left on the clock for Lucky Future, and honestly, this is looking like unlucky future for these guys.
Yeah, it's not good. Vettel will likely use his Primal Rage, but Secret is just on the board. He'll have his Sleep Dart ready to go, and we're most likely going to see a Sleeping Winston on the point. He's used the Nano, so LGD have this firepower to hold them back.
Yeah, well, Vettel going to be coming in, looking for some displacement, for some chaos, but it's just not working out because Melon's got a Primal Rage of their own and has already secured 2 kills on the back of it and wants to try and bully the enemy. Winston off the point. Sound barrier not going to be enough to keep Melon in the fight. Overtime is going to tick down as we see Rookie, gesturing on the point there to assert dominance at the end of the fight.
Yeah, I mean, compared to Lucky Future's first attack, it's just crazy the difference in the pace of that fight. But Kenobi, what were the things that really stood out to you?
Man, Kadalis is really good at Overwatch. It can't be stated enough how important a player like this is, especially with the flexibility that he has to play various things at such a high level. We've seen his Widowmaker already. The Zarya, not that great, but we'll just forget that one ever happened. And then he comes in on this Sombra and on the Lucky Future's second attack, rather. The thing that I like most is he was basically not letting Free play the game at all. Every time Free is going in, he's getting hacked. He's getting farmed of EMP charge, and Kadalis, that entire defense had 3 EMPs. He had 2 in 2 minutes when they were first attacking, because he's just, every single time Free goes in, he's getting hacked, he's getting farmed from EMP charge, getting so low, and they have to use resources to keep him alive. There was a point where he had to spend 20 seconds just sitting in a back room somewhere because he was so low health, and everyone else was also low health, that they couldn't put the resources into him. So, and then Kadalis on the top of that, not only does it free up him to get a lot of EMP charge, but it frees up Kaneki on the Pharah to do a lot of damage. There's no mitigation because there's no defense matrix now that he's hacked. So the coordination and just the pressure that Kadalis kind of just puts onto the entirety of LGD, of LF, is pretty astounding.
Yeah, well, will Lucky Future have one more chance to take us on to a map 5? Let's see if they can do that as we head into map 4 after a short break. Whew, what a day! Been a really let's call it energetic day of Overwatch so far, and we've got at the very least one more map. If Lucky Future can take this off LGD Gaming, we'll be going to a map 5. But based on what we saw on that last defensive round, I think this is going to be a bit of a struggle for Lucky Future. But Geo, we're going to be moving over onto our potentially our final map. Any thoughts on what we're going to be seeing on Havana?
Well, this is the thing, is Havana, you know, it's our most recent map. It's come out towards the end of the GOATS era. And so there's a lot of really kind of set in stone kind of GOAT strategies. So it would not surprise me if Lucky Future decided to just continue going on with that. But then, you know, we have seen teams like the Seoul Dynasty bring out these Pharah compositions, even on the defense of this map. And they've at times worked fairly well if you can get the right level of pressure, which I think would suit LGD. I don't know if there is a sub. If there was, I missed any kind of notification of it. So right now, I suppose we should just assume that LGD are going to be sticking on what they were for Numbani, in which case probably 2-2-2 is going to continue. I'd be surprised to not see Sombras in that case, especially on the second point when you go into the distillery. I think there's a really good Sombra point, which can be played very well in there. So if you have competent Sombras, then you can actually do fairly well on this map.
Well, looks like we're already showing our hand to the enemy there with that Reinhardt shield clipping through, although no. Oh, it was a debate. It was a tactic.
Yeah, that's why I didn't mention the Doomfist that I saw the silhouette of, because I was like, there's no way a Doomfist is coming out in Havana. Give me a break.
Yeah, very little high ground here to work with, particularly on the first point. LGD Gaming coming out on the old familiar, and Rookie now playing the Sombra, charging up that ult super fast. Sins gets hunted down by Kaneki, and Melon now on the wrecking ball to get rid of Vettel. Kaneki on the hunt, wants to get rid of that last little straggler. Oh, surprise Zarya there as well, taken out by Kadalis. Surprise, surprise. Kaneki coming in, raining down point-blank rockets, getting rid of the mech, of the Brigitte, of the pilot form, and LGD Gaming plowing on through.
I actually kind of love that. Kaneki really took matters into his own hands there, because Lucky Future aggressed quite heavily onto the spawn, and that pushed a number of the members of LGD back. And Kaneki was a lot further up the street than the others were, and so he was sort of turned around and was like, oh, well, okay. So he's like, okay, I'll try and get a kill onto Synths anyway, and it worked, so he just kept going. And by that point, the team was back, and things have been going pretty good.
Man, that's a barrage, and that dive coming out a little bit too late there from Free is going to mean that barrage goes through to completion, gets the D-Mech and the kill. Kaneki back on the hunt, looking for targets. Playing so close, they might as well just be throwing these rockets by hand at the players of Lucky Future, who just crumble like so much dry biscuit under the pressure of LGD Gaming.
Oh, that's actually a really horrible analogy, I have to say. But, you know, I said about these Sombras and how good they can be on this second point. Now, LGD have already made their way to this next point with Rookie having an EMP in hand. Now, they say how this is very defender heavy, but currently Lucky Future don't have any ults to their own name. So maybe they could build some up in this next fight, but it won't be long before LGD start to unleash their own abilities onto the team.
You know what? Give me the confidence of Kaneki that means he can just get in and fire these rockets in so close and never once fear for his own safety. We do lose Kadalis as part of that, but LGD Gaming might actually start to fall apart here as we see Vettel throw it in the Primal Rage. Maybe wants a couple more kills on the back of that. Is thinking they've spotted out the enemy Sombra, not able to find them. So Lucky Future do finally stop things, but man, LGD Gaming are not giving a huge amount of respect to Lucky Future here.
Yeah, well, once LGD Gaming kind of saw that Primal Rage, they just backed out. They didn't need to hand over any ult charge, and here's the MP.
Yeah, well, out it comes. Only hits 3. Crucially, doesn't hit Waffle, who is able to get that sound barrier off, but it ain't going to help Vedlu, who receives the entirety of the barrage. Melon now, maybe a little bit of trouble, isolated from a lot of the rest of the team. Down goes the Supercharger. Down Waffle with those standard left clicks, taking them out. Mellow will have the Capitan Surge ready in the next fight, so this might be where Lucky Future are able to mount a bit more of a solid defense now that they've got that defender's advantage.
I have to say, it's very interesting that Mello wasn't on the top. He does bring out the Graviton
Oh.
Surge, and that allows them to clean up members of LGD. Once again, we're seeing that great tracking come out as he tries to hunt for the Mercy.
Yeah, well, Mercy, and in fact, it looks like Rookie not quite able to get out of range of Vettel on the hunt, finds Rookie as well. And they are going to have a self-destruct and a nano boost ready in the next fight, which is not terrible on the defense, especially when you look at LGD Gaming not having a huge amount to throw at the next fight.
Certainly not bad, and when you look at Free's positioning here in that top room, he can just jump down and land the self-destruct in, but he's been halted out. Here we go.
Yeah, out comes the EMP, self-destruct as well, coming out for free. Not able to find a huge amount with it. Rookie and Hayo-chan getting in. Vettel will have the Primal Rage here. Might need to pop it just to stay alive in the fight. Falling so low. Doesn't get chances. Kaneki takes them out. Kadalis gets forced out of that room. They're able to just leap back, pile in those storm arrows, and carry the fight once more.
Moving on forward, there will still be time for Lucky Future to contest once again, but the hardest part to get the payload through on this part of the map is under that catwalk that they've just passed through, so they're already past that really difficult bit. Rookie coming in the back to try and deal some damage, get some ult charge, but the Dragon Strike's coming through, Phil.
Yeah, out it comes. He knows roughly where they are. Hasn't managed to get any kills out of it, but has stymied some of that ingress coming in from Lucky Future and is able to just stay back up, uncontested, on the high ground. We've said this before, guys. Don't ignore Kadalis because he will get those kills. Secures the D-Bag, secures the kill onto the pilot form, is going to press forward and make it just that little bit harder for Lucky Future to get back in and recontest.
LGD just making it look so easy, putting it in the Sonic Arrow, but you don't really need it when you can see the entire team. I'll have to be honest. Vettel, once again, probably going to be taking on that role of pushing back the team. He has the Primal Rage, which I'd imagine he'll be popping. There we go.
Yeah, wants these kills, wants particularly to get rid of Kadalis. Looks like he's had enough of Kadalis' sniper nonsense, but Kadalis able to use that ability to get out of the way, so that Primal Rage has maybe bought a little bit of time, but now Vettel, deep in enemy territory, has managed to regroup with a little bit of his team. And Lucky Future really wanting to play this fight up close and personal, as close to, in fact, past the enemy spawn, but it's not working out for them. LGD Gaming are definitely in control still, but you can't argue with having burnt off that little bit of extra time on the payload.
No, that's really great. It gives them 2 minutes, so there's time, of course, to achieve their endeavor, but it also gives Lucky Future a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a respite and a chance. They're already setting up on this high ground rather than worrying about pushing too far forward. They've been brought down, actually. Okay, no, I eat my words. They are going to be pushing forward. They see their opportunity.
It's whatever the Chinese is for, that's a pick, go, go, go. With having taken Rookie out of the fight, they know they have a little bit of leeway to press in, and they have flushed the rally out of Kaneki, which, honestly, not the worst bit of luck in the world, just to try and burn resources out of the enemy team. Still, 2 support ults available for LGD Gaming. Mello has the Graviton Surge. They know that either one or the other of those is going to get taken out, and that's the first one. Secret, throwing in the Transcendence. Mello still holding on to the Graviton Surge. Not a huge amount of charge here on board with Mello, but it looks like LGD Gaming are going to retreat for now. Kadalis making a swap over now onto the Zarya.
And that was really crucial, the fact that Transcendence has already been used. That gives Mello a really good opening. And in fact, all of Lucky Future have their ultimates right now. That puts LGD in a precarious spot, but they do have the EMP, which has frequently been the clincher.
Yeah, well, Vettel getting in, getting kills. That sound barrier out from Hayo-chan not going to be enough, or at least a little bit too late to save Kaneki. Vettel getting the displacement kill onto Melon. Would maybe like a couple more. Going to bully them back into spawn, swinging those monkey arms around, buying a lot of space with the team. This is looking like a much more competent defense from Lucky Future now.
Yeah, less than a minute to go, and one of the things here is because the spawn's in their direct line of sight, it means the Lucky Future don't have to guess what it is LGD are doing or what they're coming out with. There's the EMP.
EMP finds 4, doesn't get Waffle. Waffle has the sand barrier, but it doesn't hit any of the rest of Lucky Future. That ult's such a misstep from Waffle. That's really unfortunate, as LGD Gaming are going to be able to capitalize on the lack of sound barrier for most of the team to get the kills. That's going to be the D-Mech and the kill onto free. LGD Gaming on the home stretch now.
Coming straight into that end spot. It is in overtime now, so they have to stay on the payload. But very similar to the last point of Hollywood, this here is the sort of fight, the sort of point where you fight and everyone stays in and around the payload. So it's going to be quite hard for Lucky Future to dislodge them, but nonetheless, they're going to try. Melon getting stunned out, but he's got the Primal Rage.
Yeah, gets stunned, gets slept, gets angry about it, throws in the Primal Rage, gonna be knocking everybody right. Oh, yeah, slept again, but did knock quite a few of LGD Gaming into the line of fire of that Graviton Surge. Vettel takes Kaneki out of the fight. Vettel swinging, but Vettel falling low. Vettel down to Kadalis, the high charge on the Zarya. Won't get a Graviton Surge here, but huge amount of charge, huge amount of damage, throwing in those right clicks, trying to burst people down. EMP gets what is left of Lucky Future, and LGD Gaming going to push this in overtime.
It became quite the fight, but there were a few mistakes, of course, with some of the ultimates. You mentioned how Waffle used his sound barrier and it got like one person. Definitely not
Waffle.
A situation. Oh, it got him. Okay, great. Definitely not a situation that you want to be in, but you know, Lucky Future, they still have their turn to do this. And of course, if they want any hope at a reverse sweep, they're going to have to win out this map. So they have quite a big ask ahead of them, especially as kind of the most important thing that LGD, or, you know, one of the most impressive things that LGD did in that map was how quick their attack on point 2 was, because that is the point where historically people have been held for the longest time and been unable to get through to the last point. So Lucky Future, they're going to have to do that just as impressively if they hope to get through. And we'll have to see what LGD decide to run as their own defense. I think it's entirely possible that they'll be sticking to the kind of thing that they have been doing so far. But I think if Lucky Future continue to get stuck in these EMPs, this could be them really going home.
Yeah, and honestly, we said this at the start, it is going to be really an uphill fight for Lucky Future, but Lucky Future are looking a lot better than I think anybody really expected them to look in this. You know, LGD Gaming had to really pump everything into those team fights to actually break through and get the victory they were looking for. So I'm not ready to count Lucky Future out just yet, but if LGD Gaming are playing to their strengths, if they've got that really high tier Pharah and Sombra play, then this could be it for Lucky Future. Okay,
so seeing these Reinhardts come out. So not going for the Winston play this time, actually going to play it a little bit closer. We actually saw Waffle come out on the Roadhog at first, maybe looking for a Pharah, but of course there isn't one.
Yeah.
Just that goes. Well,
yeah,
3, 2, 1.
Melon receives the anti-nade, isn't able to be healed out, so they are going to lose their main tank. It's not a great sign on the defense. Mellow with the high charge, looking for targets, throwing in the right clicks, building up that ult slowly but surely. Backs out a little bit back to point as LGD Gaming retreat to the high ground. Are we actually going to see Melon? Yeah, Melon's going to be coming back in on the Winston now. But we're going to be coming up against a nano boost onto, somebody. It came out, but since died. Waffle down as well. And LGD Gaming, huge amount of patience and presence. LGD Melon coming back in, able to keep his team alive and help carry that fight through to victory for them.
Lucky Future will likely be relying on this EMP as they come back in. Once again, they're playing on the corner where a lot of people are often gathered in these fights. So hopefully he'll be able to get that, but he's going to be going up against Kadalis' EMP. And so the problem here is if he uses his first, Kadalis can just follow it up, and then they have the end of the EMP to play. But Freeze coming in, getting ready, there we go.
There's the EMP, comes in, hits 3, doesn't get Secret, who is able to use that Transcendence to keep his team alive. And a nice little transition there to keep the sleeping Kadalis alive until they get back out again. And Melon wanted that, but Chase wasn't quite able to secure the kill onto Vettel. Vettel very close to getting that Earth Shadow, but still a lot for LGD Gaming. They've still got the EMP, they've still got the Primal Rage. It's looking pretty tricky for Lucky Future.
And importantly, LGD have got the time bank. Yeah. And what I mean by that is not that they have a time bank of their own remaining, but because it's under 2 minutes now, they've been burning this off so much for Lucky Future. It puts more pressure on them if they want to engage in these fights to start moving the payload, which of course they do. They can't hang around. They can't be quite as patient as you have the luxury of being at the beginning of the fights. And of course, they've got to be careful for Kadalis, who's just brought out the EMP himself.
Yeah, EMP hits 3. 3 was in the background looking to try and get the kill onto Secret. Eventually gets it, but might be too little too late as Melon with the Primal Rage now buying a huge amount of displays, bullying this Ana. Sleep presumably on cooldown. No, not able to get anything, and that is since gonna be down. 1 minute, 20 seconds left on the clock. LGD Gaming looking pretty hard to dislodge on this first defensive.
So now they need to be aware of Hoya-chan. He's got the sound barrier. It's probably going to be the biggest mitigator to them right now. But Lucky Future do have so much to their own name. And I think the nano-boosted Reinhardt is most likely going to be the play here to try and be more aggressive. Although that said, LGD, they're a little bit further behind. They're going to be dropping down from the high ground, but there's the hack onto Mellow.
Yeah, I assume the hack onto Mellow was to try and stop the Graviton Surge coming through. But there's so much else there for Lucky Future to play with. Hoya-chan gets hacked once more, but it actually, just after the sound barrier came out, EMP over the top of LGD Gaming. Shadow comes in, main tank identified, but the pin connects onto the Transcendencing Zenyatta. But Lucky Future coming in big now with the kills. Only Rookie getting any sort of a look in on that. And just as we were about to hit overtime, Lucky Future complete.
And what was so lucky there for Lucky Future was the fact that, well, someone needs to get on the payload, was the fact that the Transcendence on the side of LGD had been invested as a result of Vettel's Earth Shatter to protect them. So when the Graviton Surges came out, LGD didn't have anything to protect them, whereas Lucky Future had their sound barrier, and so they were able to survive out and deal in the damage and win that out. But can they win out this EMP?
Well, EMP hits 4, Vettel gets stunned as well, but luckily kept alive since they're focusing very heavily on them. Kaneki now over on the Brigitte, not quite in range to get that passive Inspire up and running. Vettel now on the chase, very close to yet another Earth Shadow. A couple more swings of the hammer will do it, and we've seen how good those are for opening these fights wide up. Lucky Future playing on the high ground. In comes Melon with the Primal Rage, gets slept, gets hacked, not having a great time of it, still alive, not a huge amount of follow-up damage. Melon now wants to try and beam down Mellow, helps Kadalis get in there and secure the kill. LGD Gaming now in control, want to get this final kill onto Waffle just to get that little bit more ult charge.
And once again, Lucky Future were in that situation there where passing under that really key catwalk, the Reinhardt can only do so much to shield, because when LGD are defending on the high ground, they could just jump down and harass the backline. So Mellow, along with the supports, went down really quickly there because it was just open season for Melon as Vettel was starting to pass under. But there is still some time for Lucky Future, and they, of course, have their EMP, and I've mentioned a couple of times already how it's pretty good in this area of the map because it's so close. In goes the Translocator and the EMP.
Yeah, EMP is big, connects with 4, but it doesn't get Secret. And that was really who you wanted there, because they have the Transcendence. Keeps all of LGD Gaming alive, well, with the exception of Melon. And so, EMP, all for nothing there.
Yeah, and now they're in a situation where Kadalis has his own, and that's going to be available for the next fight. And being under a minute here means that Lucky Future, if they're going to lose this next fight, then they need to lose it really quickly, since he's going to be looking for the sleep dart onto Kadalis to put him out of the fight for 6 seconds, and then just hope that Lucky Future can deal in the damage they require, maybe an Earth Shatter to keep him down. See what happens.
Yeah, well, out comes the Graviton Surge, but Hoya-chan able to get in with the sound barrier. The EMP out from Kadalis gets 2. The follow-up is there. No tanks left alive for Lucky Future. Evil X goes down. Rookie on the hunt, helps try and secure the kill onto the Lucia, who I think does just get out of dodge. Melon now looking, I think, doing a bit of a Sombra check there, trying to find out Free, but Free maybe making themselves known there with the Translocator. The Translocator comes in. We're deep into OT. Waffle down. They need to get on the point. The Shadow comes out, doesn't really connect, and that is it. We've got Evil X in on the Reaper, but it may well be too little too late, even for the Edge Lord with the attitude problem, to get anything done here. As the OT overtime timer ticks down, that is going to be LGD Gaming taking us to 3-1 in the series and completely putting paid to playoff for Lucky Future.
Now, that was my fear, was that they would be able to hold Lucky Future so well on that second point, especially when running these kinds of compositions with those Sombras as well. Kenobi, series is up. We know who is and isn't in playoffs. What do you think?
Yeah, unfortunately for Lucky Future, they're going to go out, but it was, for a lot of this series, it was close, and I think it's actually a little bit of a shame that Lucky Future isn't going to make playoffs. It is going to be Light Gaming who is going to be taking that 4th spot, but Lucky Future, I mean, they played pretty well on Control. They played pretty well as well on the other maps that we saw them. Their Goach looks definitely better. I would have been really worried if they had made playoffs and gotten to a point where they had to play 2-2-2 because we saw some of it. And Evil X, Widowmaker, not the greatest. Mellow, Widowmaker, not the greatest as well. They have a very big issue with their hero pool on the DPS level. But Vettel and Free, I think, are very good players as well. Waffle did a little bit of Wins cosplay at the end there on Havana, unfortunately. Hitting that sound barrier and not getting anyone else besides himself. And I think that was really one of the biggest issues for Lucky Future is their ultimate economy usage, because in GOATs, it's about to go away, but GOATs, a lot of it relies on ultimates. It's not everything, but a lot of those ultimates you need to be hitting, especially if it's something like a Graviton. We've seen Mellow hit some really weird Gravitons throughout the series, not even hitting anyone at some points. And then Waffle there, you got to be hitting that sound barrier, especially if your entire team is hugged and Grav.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. It's just one of those situations where, yeah, Lucky Future, they didn't have a completely disastrous composition and disastrous goats, but if they had got through, then that would have really caused them a problem. And LGD probably gonna go back to the drawing board, because there will be some things that they will have to have, learned and worked on from this experience, because it wasn't quite as clean as we did think it was. And there were a couple of defenses and whatnot that just went so quickly for them that maybe they want to think about how they're gonna go up against some of the better teams with those sorts of issues. So maybe you go back, VOD review Numbani. That's what I would suggest. But I mean, completely kind of unsurprising, really, that LGD are going through. And I think with the 2-2-2 lock, they will potentially thrive, because they have just shown how much pressure and how much kind of versatility that they can have as a team. And really, they can only go up from there.
I think one of the brightest spots as well for LGD is it seems like they don't miss a beat really when they swap up their lineup, right? It seems like Kaneki, Kadalis, and Wanli all have very good play on those DPS roles. I saw Kaneki come in on the Pharah, look almost as good as Wanli does. So there's not really a lot of you don't lose a lot when you're putting in those different DPS players. They have this 3-man rotation that can definitely work wonders. Wanli and Kadalis, one of the best DPS duos in the region right now. So if you want to, the fact that they could win like this with Kaneki mostly playing is actually pretty impressive, and it gives them a little bit of a different look if they want to, play more towards Kaneki's hero pool instead of Wanli.
Yeah, it certainly gives them a lot of variety and a lot of flexibility, especially as you kind of mentioned how not only can they not miss a beat when they switch in new people and new subs, but when they between themselves have to switch heroes they're playing. I think we saw all of them maybe play Sombra, all of the different DPS players
they all
play Sombra.
did. Yes, they all did play Sombra.
And,